Good morning, everyone. My name is Fun Zhenfei from the Faculty of Management, University Technology Malaysia. Today, I'm honored to present my undergraduate research project titled The Influence of Social Media on the Adoption of AI-Powered Study Tool or Among Generation Z. This study investigates how social media exposure, particularly through platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, influence the adoption of AI-powered study tools such as ChatGPT, Grammarly Go, Notion AI, and Quizlet AI among Generation Z students in Malaysia. As digital native, Generation Z students are highly engaged on social media and increasingly rely on AI tools to improve their academic performance. These tools offer functions such as summarizing content, correcting grammar, managing study schedule, and generating practice quizzes. While the use of AI tools in education is rapidly growing, most existing studies focus on system effectiveness, file learning outcomes, or institutional implementation. However, there is a lack of research on the psychological factors behind individual level adoption, especially how social media influence students' perception and behavior. This research addresses the gap, particularly within the Malaysia context. To guide this investigation, I focus on three research questions. The first one is what AI-powered study tools are most commonly used by Generation Z? And the second is how does social media influence Generation Z perception of the perceived usefulness of AI-powered study tool toward their adoption? And the third one is how does social media influence Generation Z's perception of the perceived ease of use of AI-powered study tool toward their adoption? So to explore this question, I applied the technology acceptance model. This model proposed two key factors drive user acceptance of a technology, which are perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. So TAM was chosen because it provides a proven framework for predicting and explaining individual adoption behavior, especially in voluntary personal use context like student-driven learning tools. So this study used a quantitative cross-sectional survey design. The sample consisted of 385 Generation Z students aged from 18 to 25 enrolled in higher education institutions across Malaysia. And the data were collected through online questionnaire distributed via platforms such as WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, and Telegram. So the questionnaire covered four main components. The first component is the usage of AI-powered study tool. The second is social media exposure. The next one is perceived usefulness. And the last one is perceived ease of use. So now let me present the key findings, beginning with descriptive analysis. So based on descriptive statistics, the most commonly used AI-powered study tool is ChatGPT. Because ChatGPT is favored due to its relevance, user-friendliness, and effectiveness in supporting core academic activity, and it was widely used for generating content, answering questions, and brainstorming ideas. So for the usage of AI-powered study tool, the majority of respondents reported using more than one tool regularly, indicating that Generation Z students are actively integrating multiple AI solutions into their learning routine. So now moving to the influential analysis, which use Pearson correlation to test the relationship between variables. First, correlation analysis reveal a statistically significant and positive relationship between social media exposure and perceived usefulness. This means that students who frequently engage with AI-related content on social media and pay close attention to it were more likely to believe that these two directly improve their academic performance. And in terms of strength, the relationship between the social media exposure and PU was found to be moderately strong and positive. This supports the idea that the more students are exposed to relevant content, such as tutorial, reviews, and peer experience, the more convinced they are of the tool's academic value. And second, a similar analysis shows a statistically significant positive relationship between social media exposure and perceived ease of use. Students who regularly encounter AI-related content on social media perceive the tool as less complex and easier to use. This suggests that social media plays a critical role in simplifying the learning curve. For instance, short video demonstrating how to use ChatGPT made the tools appear more accessible even for the first-time user. The correlation here was also positive and moderate in strength, indicating a meaningful connection between online exposure and students' confidence in navigating these tools. Together, these findings support the technology acceptance model. First, social media exposure enhances persist usefulness by showing real-life academic application of AI tools. Next, it also improves perceived ease of use by offering accessible, peer-led guidance and demonstration. Therefore, students who are more exposed to AI-related content online are more likely to adopt these tools as part of their study habit, not just because they seem helpful, but because they also seem manageable and learnable. In conclusion, this study confirmed that social media is a key driver of AI-powered study tool adoption among Generation Z in Malaysia. It significantly influenced both perceived usefulness and ease of use, two critical elements that determine technology acceptance. Based on this finding, I would like to propose three key implications. The first one, for the EdTech developer, they should consider collaborating with student influencers and content creators to produce short-form, authentic educational content that demonstrate the functionality and value of AI tools. And for the university, there's a need to provide AI and digital literacy program that empower students to access and responsibly use these tools, especially as they become more mainstream in education. And for the policymaker and education leader, they should leverage the social media to effectively educate Gen Z students on responsible AI adoption. Before I end, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to my supervisor, Dr. Rosari Zawati, for her continuous guidance, constructive feedback, and support throughout the research journey. In summary, this study contributed to filling a meaningful research gap by providing empirical insight into the role of social media in shaping AI adoption among students. It helped us better understanding how educational tools can be introduced, explained, and adopted through the platform where Generation Z live and learn. Thank you very much for your attention.